The very first phone call that I had with him, he was very warm and engaging straight away. So he gave me an outline of what he did, and then the next meeting was to catch up, which was really good. He actually came to me. He came to my office. I am in real estate, so it's a little busy, and he slotted in around my calendar, and he turned up at work, and it was really, really a lot of value in that. He knows what he's doing though, like he really knows what he's doing. But I think the key point for me was he tried to match my tone, even though it was his world, not mine. So asked me what I was thinking, and I just said I need a plan for the future, but how does that work? I'm not sure. So we went through a few different scenarios until we found something that I felt comfortable with, and we moved forward. Everyone thinks it's about the super and about retirement. It certainly is the end goal. However, there's so many points along the way. I work in an industry that it's commission only. So I only get paid if I sell. Now I have a team that get paid before I get paid. So I have to be really across the board of, yes, I look after my team members, but I have to look after my finances as well. So the hustle is really hard, but I also need to make sure I'm dropping the money in each bucket that needs to be in place for that long-term goal. Insurances were a big thing for us as well that Marcel discussed, and that's down to income protection, even trauma cover, and obviously superannuation, and how to make superannuation or even my savings account work the best it can be as far as interest rates. So he was across the board, and I didn't expect that. I just thought it was all about the super and the end. But we've moved money into just different bank accounts for a better interest rate. So there was a lot of value in across the board, and it just made sense. He did outline it in detail. Now, cheeky, it is his world, so some parts I'm going, no, rewind, tell me in my way now. He was very, very good. He made me really understand why, and then the how, and then obviously the result of all of those steps that were put into place by him. We met in 2023 and obviously had that brief discussion on what he could do for me. I did pause him due to time again, which is silly, but we did pause. And I said, let's pick it back up in 2024. So which we did. And unfortunately for me, but I'm okay now, in the beginning of 2024, I was diagnosed with cancer. Marcel called me the day after I was diagnosed. And he said, it's time to look at your insurances. How's your health? And it was just a whirlwind. So I said, well, you're not going to believe what I'm about to tell you. It was absolutely gold. And I have to say, I think it's because of his personality versus his profession. I'm sure part of his profession is to help with those insurances. However, his personality, he just kicked into gear really quickly, inquired on my insurance, whether it was trauma, income protection, what he could do to help me. We did have a little bit of a curveball with my treatment. I ended up being allergic to chemo. So I ended up in hospital for 6.5 weeks, 5 months off work, but probably a good part of 9 months I wasn't well 100% to work. So he just made sure behind the scenes that all the wheels were moving for my insurances. Was there an opportunity to get some money for me to help me with my medical bills? I do have private health insurance, but I was still $12,000 out of pocket. That was a surprise to all of us. He did get a return on one of my insurances, which was trauma cover. Point of difference, income protection was not, I could not be covered in that because I could hold a phone to my ear, which is just disgraceful. But anyway, just a note. But he wasn't letting go until he found a solution to help me. And he helped me a lot. He was very invested, obviously, in what he is in the profession to do. But there was a lot more to that. You could just tell. Like, he didn't smother me, but he was there. I knew he was there. He didn't call me when I was in hospital, but he certainly sent me messages. And it was obviously a caring message to be the intro, but he was also giving me reassurance about the insurance, that he was still working on it. Not giving me hope, but giving me the steps that were leading to a result that I believe he helped me get. I was too sick. I was way too sick for a family member or best friends to look into. We don't know the profession, we don't know the language, and certainly he does, and that was a huge value to me. Marcel was the only reason that we achieved the payout. I don't think I would have had the energy to do it. Sure, maybe a year and a half later, but I don't know, really, that's a Marcel question. Is that too late? You know, he just kept the wheels moving behind the scenes, and I guess because he knows the language and knows the insurances and knows all the different policies, he knows how to get his answer quicker than most. So there was value in that. And I must say, he didn't charge me for it, which is interesting, right? Because most people in a profession will do something to be paid. Sure, I've paid him for his services, but there was absolutely no extra fee for him to care. Well, the payment made possible for me to keep my business running. Again, I am the lead agent, so I have to sell to bring the income in. I do have a team that kept those wheels moving as well, but there was a financial backing that how long it was going to be until I could return to work, that there was a financial support that just changed everything. And unfortunately, stress is at the top of most people's list. It just put it at the bottom of the list to worry about stress and finance. And it paid for my medical. Like, I have private health insurance and I was $12,000 out of pocket. Madness. But without the trauma cover and without Marcel, probably would have been in the dark and may not have even thought of it. Just may not have even tried. So it took a lot of pressure off financially. My bills were paid at home. My work was kept afloat and just let me breathe. I could totally focus on just getting well. I do have absolute trust in Marcel Jacobs. A couple of reasons. My world is to deal with people, talk to people, and read people. I knew from the very first meeting with Marcel that he was a genuine man. He's a family man. He opened up a little bit about his world, his experiences in his life, and that face-to-face meeting, nothing was a problem. He's quite calming. He's very calming in his personality. So I come in as a whirlwind and he calms me immediately and just keeps me on track. He's just a really good guy. You can just tell. And he does know what he's talking about. His attention to detail is huge, but he does find a way for it to sink in my way, and plans it that is the best for me, but makes me understand exactly why and how he's going to do it. And he keeps me informed on each step as well. So some of the goals that, most of the goals financially that Marcel's helped me to work towards is that big R word, the retirement. So I feel like I'm still way too young to talk about that, but it is reassuring. It's also how much that I would like to have in my pocket each week, you know, leading up to that retirement age. Financially during the years, so moving towards that end, is knowing that there's money growing behind the scenes, whether that's investing, whether it's just moving it into bank accounts that will give me a better return on interest, term deposits that if I need to pull the term deposit money out, it can be done within a shorter time frame versus a penalty in a longer time frame. Just really the month to month, the year to year, he has really mapped it out. Even down to having a bank account for a holiday, having a bank account for my gifts, and, you know, spoiling family and friends, and having a day-to-day bank account. Sure, it all makes sense, but when someone does it for you, it makes it so much easier to do. Yeah, keeping track of it, sure, he's teaching me along the way to how to do that, but he checks in with me more than I think I need. But when we start chatting, he certainly draws my attention to, oh yes, you know, I should be doing that. He does the heavy lifting for me. So it just makes it so easy to say yes. He's just a good guy. He does really care. I can tell he actually does care. He checks in with me just to say hi sometimes, or just time, look, next month we're going to book to see your accountant for the end of financial year. We'll just have a pre-booking meeting about the end of financial year with my accountant. Things I think, well, why do I need that? But there's so much value in that. He jumps into the meeting with me. He said, oh, that's an invite from me. He just holds my hand, but he prepares me each month what I need to do and what I need to think about. Sometimes I've said, no, I can't do it, I'm too busy. He respects that, allows that, doesn't try and pin me for the next meeting, but I don't know, he figures out the time, and then next minute he turns up with a phone call or a message, and it's just in the right timing. I have tried to engage with financial advisors over the years. I'll be straight up, there just doesn't seem to be a lot of value added. And I'm not saying they don't have that skill, but they haven't engaged in a way that has made me listen more. They haven't engaged in the way that they've understood what I'm saying. Marcel will stop and listen, and you can see him listening, and he sometimes repeats it back. I think, okay, he did get it. I don't know, he's a people person. He's very skilled, so that shines through in his presentation and in his delivery and what he's telling us to do. He does do before our business hours and after hours. He just seems very relatable and relevant to what my life is. And he just really presents it to me in my way that makes me feel comfortable that he's taking the lead. I feel more comfortable now about my finance than ever in my life. Nothing huge has changed. It just feels like it's balanced. There feels like there's a direction for each bank account and a reason and a purpose. I don't know, I don't worry much anymore. I didn't worry a lot before, but I knew that I probably should think about it more. But there's just value in knowing that someone else is in my corner, and he's like my paid husband. How about that? He's just like my paid husband, but he's got the skill to get the finance to the end. But it's true. Oh, sorry to Marcel's wife. He's definitely helped me take control of my finances, but he's guided me on how to take control of it. Besides putting my money in a mortgage or a savings account or a term deposit, I don't really know much more. Sure, there's insurances and there's superannuation, but what else is there to know? There's heaps more to know. And putting money across different bank accounts, I can't believe the difference that makes in making my money grow. I really am shocked on how much more I'm getting in return just for shuffling money around. So there's so much more to know. And that's where I think he's really good. Sure, he wants to help, but I feel like he's the type of gentleman that will advise you. Yes, he'll hope to get your business, but he's genuinely telling you what he thinks you should know. And I've got a daughter and a son, and it's really nice to be able to guide them as well. I will put them in front of Marcel at some stage, but for now it gives me the freedom to start guiding them on what we should do next with their finances. My son in particular, he has, I think it's 5 bank accounts now, and he's just turned 18. So he's quite invested in spreading his money out and growing as well. My daughter also has a couple of bank accounts as well. She's 23, she's invested in her private health insurance. So she contributes to that each month. It just helps you share. And when they see mum not stressed, financially growing and financially stable, it's pretty hard not to follow suit.